It won't start with a bang. It'll start with life moving exactly as it always has. Quiet, ordinary, predictable. People will still wake up, drink their coffee, scroll through their feeds, go to work, make plans for vacations and futures. Cities will hum with ambition. Technology will keep evolving. Progress will seem unstoppable. But under that rhythm, something invisible will begin to shift. The world won't collapse overnight. It'll slowly drift, not into chaos, but into distraction. People won't rebel against the idea of God. They'll just forget to think about him. Truth will become relative, morality negotiable. The noise of success and self-expression will drown out the faint whisper of eternity. It will feel like peace, but it won't be real peace. It will be numbness. A generation convinced that everything spiritual is just metaphor, that the supernatural is fiction, that faith is outdated. And yet, quietly, everywhere, there will be a growing emptiness, the kind that can't be filled with money, relationships, or pleasure. That's where it begins, not in destruction, but in distraction. The world will become so focused on itself that it won't see the ground shifting beneath its feet. Politics will promise unity. Science will promise salvation, and people will believe that humanity can finally build a world without God. But then, the fractures will appear. Small at first. Economic instability, rising tension between nations, moral confusion that breeds unrest. The things we trusted most will begin to feel fragile. And deep down, some will sense that something bigger is coming, something history has been whispering about for centuries. At first, those who speak about it will be mocked. Prophecy will be treated like conspiracy. The idea of divine intervention will sound absurd in a world obsessed with human progress. But there will be signs, unmistakable ones. Not vague coincidences or myths, but real, measurable shifts in the natural world, the political order, and even in human behavior. Something ancient will start to wake up, and just when the world feels like it's standing at the peak of achievement, when people believe they've finally transcended the old limits of religion and morality, that's when everything will begin to tilt. The illusion of control will start to crumble. Because before the return comes the revelation, the uncovering. Everything hidden, every deception, every false piece will be brought to light. It won't just be a physical shaking, it'll be a spiritual one. The systems, ideologies, and idols humanity built will be tested, not to destroy but to expose. And while most will keep living as if nothing's happening, a few will start to see it. The subtle pattern behind the chaos, the sense that something eternal is aligning. They'll realize that what's about to happen isn't random, it's ordered. It's deliberate. Before the second coming, there will be signs, and they will unfold one after another, each one pulling back the curtain a little more, until there's no illusion left to hide behind. The calm before the shaking isn't peace, it's warning. And once it begins, the world will never be the same again. It won't look like rebellion at first. It'll look like progress, like freedom. People will start saying things that sound noble. Everyone has their own truth. Love is enough. We don't need faith to be good. And little by little, truth will stop being something absolute and start being something flexible. Churches will still exist, but many will become reflections of culture instead of challenges to it. The message will shift, less about transformation, more about affirmation. And those who speak about conviction, repentance, or holiness will sound outdated, even offensive. Faith will become a product, something you customize to fit your preferences. This won't happen overnight. It'll take years of slow conditioning. A world flooded with information will begin to lose its ability to discern. Entertainment will blur the line between truth and illusion. Social media will make emotion feel like evidence. And in the end, people won't reject God because they hate him. They'll reject him because they don't think they need him. That's the great falling away. It doesn't come through anger, it comes through apathy, a silent erosion of conviction masked as enlightenment. At the same time, something darker will begin to take shape. As spiritual hunger grows, people will start seeking answers outside of truth, in mysticism, technology, ideology, and self-worship. They'll call it awakening, higher consciousness, universal energy. It'll sound harmless, even good, but underneath, it'll all be leading toward the same center. A world trying to replace the creator with creation itself. And while the surface will glow with optimism, the foundation will begin to crack. Without a moral anchor, everything will become negotiable. Life, identity, family, even the concept of right and wrong. The sacred will be redefined as optional. The eternal will be replaced by the temporary. Then, a cultural divide will appear, not between nations but between belief. Those who hold on to truth will be labeled as intolerant, outdated, or dangerous. It won't be open persecution, not yet, just pressure. isolation, the slow tightening of the world around anyone who refuses to bend. And in that tension, the world will be prepared for something, or rather, someone to rise. Because when people lose faith in the unseen, they start craving something they can see. A figure, a leader who promises to fix the chaos and unite the world. That's how deception works. It doesn't start with lies, it starts with loss. When faith fades, something always fills the space it leaves behind. And what's about to fill that void will change the course of history. The great falling away isn't just a loss of belief, it's the setup, the silence before a counterfeit salvation. The moment humanity opens its arms to a peace that was never meant to last. The world will not crown a tyrant overnight, it will invite him in. By this point, confusion will have reached its peak. Economic collapse, global division, climate disasters, cultural exhaustion. People will be begging for solutions, not arguments, for unity, not truth. And in that collective weariness, one voice will rise above the rest. Intelligent, charismatic. He'll say the things everyone has been longing to hear, words that sound like healing. He won't march in with armies. He won't need to. He'll win with words. He'll promise peace, fairness, equality, everything the world has been fighting for. And because he'll offer hope without accountability, grace without truth, people will adore him. He'll seem like a visionary, a reformer, the one who finally unites humanity beyond religion, politics, and ideology. At first, even the skeptics will be impressed. His solutions will work, at least on the surface. Global alliances will form. Economies will stabilize. Nations that once hated each other will sign agreements in his name. People will celebrate him as the man who finally did what no one else could, bring peace to a world on fire. But the peace will have a price, because underneath the charm lies control. He'll begin to centralize power, first for efficiency, then for security, then for loyalty. He'll introduce systems that monitor, manage, and merge every aspect of life. Commerce, communication, even faith. He'll call it unity. The world will call it progress. But in reality, it will be submission disguised as peace. And when he speaks about the divine, he won't deny it. He'll redefine it. He'll talk about spirituality, about connecting to the source, about oneness and enlightenment. His message will sound inclusive, universal, the kind of belief system that offends no one because it belongs to everyone. But at its core, it will remove the very idea of truth itself. As he gains power, he'll demand not just obedience, but worship. Not the kind that looks like religion, but the kind that looks like allegiance. He'll become the face of the new world, the center of every broadcast, the signature on every decree, the image behind every promise. And people will give him everything, not because they're forced to, but because they believe in him. That's how deception works. It feels righteous until it's too late to resist. By the time his true nature begins to show, the systems built to protect humanity will have become the very chains that bind it. The false savior won't come to destroy the world with war, at least not at first. He'll destroy it by convincing humanity that it no longer needs saving. And when the world finally kneels, it won't realize it's kneeling to the very darkness it thought it had overcome. But even then, even in the midst of global devotion to deception, a remnant will remain, hidden, watching. They'll see through the illusion, not because they're smarter, but because they never stopped believing that truth isn't something you invent, it's something you recognize. And that recognition will become dangerous. Because the moment truth begins to reemerge, the deceiver will show his true face. The peace will break, the control will tighten, the mask will come off, and the world will enter its darkest hour. At first, it will feel like the golden age of humanity has finally arrived. No more war headlines. No more political fighting. No more hunger. The world will celebrate its progress with pride, technology at its peak, a unified economy, and one voice guiding it all. But just beneath the surface, something will start to rot. It begins quietly, with questions. A few voices whisper that the unity doesn't feel like freedom anymore, that the peace feels more like silence, that the light they've been told to walk in feels cold. Those who question the system will be labeled as dangerous. Not because they're violent, but because they're divisive. They'll be accused of spreading hate simply for believing in a truth that doesn't bend. And slowly, the world will begin to draw a line between those who go along with the new order and those who don't. At first, the pressure will be social. Accounts frozen. People will vanish quietly, dismissed as extremists or traitors. The media will speak of them as threats to peace, and the world will nod in agreement. Then the control will harden. The systems built for security will become instruments of obedience. Every transaction, every movement, every belief will be tracked under the promise of safety. And when the deceiver speaks, he'll no longer sound like a peacemaker. His tone will sharpen. His words will divide. He'll demand loyalty, not just in behavior but in heart. Worship will no longer look like religion. It will look like compliance, a test of allegiance wrapped in everyday choices. What you buy, where you go, what you say. Refuse, and the system will erase you. That's when the hidden remnant, those who still hold to truth, will begin to live in the shadows. They'll move quietly, speak in whispers, gather where no one's watching. Their existence will feel fragile, but their conviction will burn stronger than ever. Because when truth costs everything, only those who truly believe will hold on to it. The deceiver's empire will grow darker. Technology will serve tyranny, law will serve fear, and humanity, once promised liberation, will live under a silence so heavy it feels like the air itself has turned against them. But the cracks will begin to show. The same systems that were built to control will start to fail. Natural disasters will increase. Conflict will erupt between nations that once vowed eternal peace. Famine will spread. Disease will return. And people will begin to ask the question they were told never to ask again. What if we were wrong? The false peace will unravel like a curtain pulled back too quickly, revealing the machinery behind it. The greed, the manipulation, the lies. The deceiver, desperate to maintain power, will turn to violence. His empire will hunt down dissenters, turning the world into a stage of persecution. For those who still believe in truth, every day will feel like a test. They'll lose homes, families, safety, but not hope. Because even as the darkness deepens, something within them will whisper that this isn't the end. It's the final shaking before everything changes. And in that chaos, as the world bleeds under its false peace, a new kind of clarity will rise. People will begin to remember what they had forgotten. That light doesn't always appear in comfort. Sometimes it shows up in the middle of collapse, and that realization will prepare the world for what comes next. The final confrontation between deception and truth, between power and promise. The world will stand on the edge of exhaustion. Empires will crumble. Cities will burn. The same hands that once raised banners of peace will now raise weapons of survival. The deceiver, who once appeared untouchable, will find his empire collapsing under the weight of its own corruption. The promises of harmony will turn into demands for obedience. His charisma will decay into cruelty. What began as unity will end as domination. And then, in the middle of the world's darkest hour, something will begin to stir. Not in the sky yet, but in the hearts of those who refuse to give in. They'll sense it before they see it. That unmistakable pull, that feeling that history is holding its breath. Because just when it seems like darkness has swallowed everything, the world will remember that light never needed permission to return. The signs will multiply, not the vague kind that people argue about, but undeniable shifts in nature and spirit. The atmosphere itself will feel charged, as if creation knows what's coming. The deceiver will sense it too. His empire will react violently, launching one last desperate attempt to hold on to control. Armies will gather. Nations will unite under his command, not out of loyalty but out of fear. And then the silence will break. It won't be a quiet arrival. It won't be hidden or symbolic. It will be visible, unmistakable, and final. The king will return, not as the gentle teacher the world remembers, but as the rightful ruler of creation. Every power that mocked truth will bow, willingly or not. Every deception that once stood proudly will be torn apart by the weight of what's real. For the first time in human history, justice will no longer be an idea. It will stand visible. Not the revenge humanity has always chased, but the restoration it's always needed. Because this moment isn't about destruction, it's about reclaiming what was lost. The tears, the wars, the betrayals, all of it will reach its endpoint. The deceiver will face what he has feared most: exposure. No more lies, no more disguises. Every illusion of power will vanish in the presence of the one power that cannot be imitated. And the world, scarred, silent, broken, will witness what real authority looks like. Imagine it. The sky split open, every empire, every ideology, every name built on pride, collapsing under a truth that doesn't need to shout to be heard. What was invisible will become undeniable. What was mocked will be revealed as eternal. For the faithful, it won't be fear they feel, it will be relief. The waiting, the suffering, the loneliness of holding on to truth in a world that hated it, all of it will finally make sense. Because the king's return isn't just about ending evil. It's about finishing the story the world began writing long before it understood what it was part of. And when he comes, there will be no more negotiations, no more confusion. Just truth, radiant, unstoppable, and final. The deceiver's reign will end in a moment. The empire built on lies will dissolve like mist under sunlight. And for the first time since humanity fell, the world will experience peace that isn't manufactured, conditional, or temporary. When the noise stops, the world will be silent in a way it's never been before. No sirens, no speeches, no armies, just stillness, the kind that feels alive, not empty. For the first time since the beginning, creation itself will rest. The chaos that once ruled the earth will have been stripped away. The skies, once darkened by war and smoke, will clear. The ground will breathe again. The oceans will calm. And humanity, the few who remain, will look around and realize they are standing on a world that feels both familiar and completely new. This isn't the end of existence. It's the end of rebellion. It's the moment where everything twisted by pride, greed, and deception is set right again. Every system that enslaved people will be gone. Every false ideology, every corrupt empire, every lie humanity built to replace truth, erased. What remains will be real, unfiltered, uncontaminated. The king won't just rule from afar. He'll dwell among the people. Not in symbols, not in theory, but in present. There will be no elections, no debates, no corruption. Justice won't need courts because truth itself will walk the earth. Imagine a world where peace isn't fragile, where love isn't strategic, where no one has to fight to be seen or heard. A world where the scars of history don't define the future, where the ones who mourn finally laugh, and those who were forgotten finally rest. The earth will feel different, not because it will be rebuilt from scratch, but because everything in it will finally function the way it was meant to. Even time will feel slower, purer, as if the very rhythm of creation has found its balance again. And humanity will remember what it means to be whole. People will live without fear, work without greed, love without loss. Children will grow up in a world that doesn't teach them to be suspicious of hope. Faith won't be something people struggle to hold on to. It will be the atmosphere they breathe. This is the true restoration. Not a fantasy, not an escape, but the fulfillment of everything humanity has ever longed for. Because deep down, every culture, every story, every myth about utopia has been echoing the same desire. To go back to a world where light wins. And in that new dawn, people will finally understand something profound, that every tear, every trial, every unanswered prayer was not wasted. It was all leading to this, a kingdom unshakable, built not on power but on truth. The deceiver will be gone, history will be healed, and life will begin again, not as memory but as eternity. The story won't end with the end of the world. It will end with the rebirth of everything it was meant to be. And that's the beauty of it, not destruction but restoration.